Yes, yes, yes. So I figured since the new Strangers movie is coming out this Friday, I thought, why not review the other two movies? Alright, let's go. So the first Strangers movie that came out in 2008 is about a couple that go to an isolated home only to be interrupted by these three intruders. The main characters in this film is Kristen and James. Kristen played by Liv Tyler and James played by Scott Speedman. The only thing I know about Liv Taylor is how she was in the Hulk, that movie. That's about it, literally. I'm not too familiar about Scott Speedman. Like, literally the only film I've seen him in is literally this movie. I think the thing I like about this movie is that it takes like a concept that could happen to anyone in real life. Because obviously the three intruders are like literally, they're not supernatural, they're not like, you know, ghosts or anything like that. They're literally just normal people that are just wearing, you know, weird costumes and stuff. And this movie also reminds me of things like Final Destination 3 where, you know, you're on a roller coaster and then you kind of think, what would happen if you went on a roller coaster and then basically died in it? So I think that's what really is good about this film, is that it takes a real life scenario that could happen to anyone. So this definitely wasn't like a scary movie, it was more so making you feel like uneased and like kind of like on edge. If I'm being honest, I think the most scariest thing that happens in this movie is literally the loud banging noise you hear from the intruders. Because literally at that time it was like 4 a.m. so you're thinking, who's going to be knocking at your door at 4 a.m? Which is, that's already like a red flag, innit? And then, you know, they open this door and you can see this girl and then she's just like, is Tamara home? That was a good American accent, isn't it? Good American accent, yeah. I'm getting better. And then from the moment, yeah, you know something's going on. Literally, it's pitch black, you can't even see her face. And then they're just standing there thinking, what's wrong with this girl? Because she's just literally standing there after they said, yeah, there's no one called Tamara home. So they're probably thinking, you know, something's weird, you know what I mean? But then obviously they close the door and she just basically goes. I think my issue about this movie though in the first place is that why would you go to an isolated home, pitch black, no one around? It's kind of like, come on man, like literally. And then essentially takes off from there. You got the three intruders basically, you know, trying to scare these two, you know, victims and whatnot, playing around, running around the house, coming in and out. The character James is so stupid. And if anything, this girl Kristen is the most logical person in this whole entire movie because she's the one that's actually on edge, you know what I mean? So you're thinking, of course things are not gonna go well because this guy is dumb as hell. He ain't listening to his girlfriend. And it's like, you got three intruders running around playing hide and seek or it or some crap, like literally. I think what I really like about the movie is like the costume, the way they're dressed. Like it's very basic, but it works. Because a lot of the time you got like these iconic roles like Jason from Friday the 13th or Michael Myers from Halloween. It's very basic, but it works. So I'm not really too against the idea of like wearing these little cheap looking masks and you know, like a plastic bag over his head. Not a plastic bag, but like a, I don't know. I don't know what bag it is. I don't know if it's a bag or what. I can't remember what it looks like. But yeah, it really starts to like build up straight away from the start. Like it doesn't really take time to get to the point. So within like the first couple of minutes you're watching the film, you already start the sort of story plot, you know what I mean? So it just makes it more exciting for you as a viewer to be like, okay, we're not sitting here waiting for something to happen. And I think that's what I can really appreciate about like movies like that, is where they just get to the point and don't waste my time. Because at the end of the day, most horror movies are like an hour and something. So it's like when you drag it out, it kind of just makes the viewer get bored. So the quicker you start it, the better for us basically. But if we're talking about the negatives, I really wasn't a fan of the pacing a lot. Like don't get me wrong, it started off really good, but as the intruders are kind of like, you know, messing around with them, I feel like it's just kind of, they're just kind of taking their time, and it just feels like you don't really feel like the main characters are in actual danger. You feel like they're still in danger, but you don't feel like the urgency because these strangers are kind of just messing around, you know, sitting around doing all this crap. Like, are you gonna do something already? But I don't know. I mean, that's kind of like a, I wouldn't say it's a pet peeve. I'll definitely say it is a negative. It just makes, it gives you like a dead space in the whole film because nothing's really going on. It's mainly just the characters hiding and just trying not to get, you know, caught by these strangers. Also, another negative is that it's not really like a, if you're looking for like gore and all that stuff, then you're probably going to be disappointed because I wouldn't say it's like a gory film. It's more so like a suspense horror film where nothing's really going on. It's mainly just suspense and just these characters are trying to survive and whatnot. I'm not too bothered about that because I don't always go into movies expecting a horror movie to be like gory and whatnot. Sometimes I do like the sort of thriller horror aspect. For the most part, the dialogue's okay, but like I said, the guy James, he's the only guy who I have an issue with because I feel like the character Kristen is the only logical person who's actually speaking facts and speaking logic. But then again, I guess, you know, as a horror movie, if these characters weren't stupid, then there'd be no horror movie in it. I think another negative for me is that how it's just in the same location. And this wouldn't have been a negative if I didn't see the other sequels, but after watching the other sequels, it's like, I like how it's like different environments they're in, whereas this movie, it's just in one stationary area. So there's not much to really view as well, because it's really dark. So it just makes it feel like lackluster, if I'm being honest. Especially if you're talking about the sequel, which I think is way better, which we're going to be talking about after, but yeah. This is kind of like a spoiler now, so I wouldn't really suggest you watch this part unless you don't want to get spoiled. I think this movie has one of the best horror movie iconic lines, for sure, like hands down. So there's a scene at the end where the woman Kristen is saying to one of the strangers, "Why are you doing this?" And the girl literally says, "Because you were home." Like, bro, that's wild, man, that's wild. Like, imagine you're about to, like, your life's about to end, and the first thing you ask is, "Why are you doing this?" And the girl literally says, "Because you were home." Like, that is wild. Because that's not even a reason. That's not really even a good reason. But it works so well as like a line that is, I think it's perfect. I think it really tells you what type of characters these people are and how like they just don't care, like literally. But that line to me was just like just baffling. But it was great, it was wild. But overall, I wouldn't say it's like a necessarily great movie that I'd really recommend to people. Well, actually, I take that back. I think you should watch it. But I don't think you're going to enjoy it as much as the sequels, or at least the current sequel right now. Because I feel like in the other sequel, there's more actually stuff going on, whereas the first movie, the pacing can be a bit, you know, of a problem, and not much is really going on. There's a lot of like banging noises, a lot of hide and seek with the strangers. It's kind of just lackluster a lot of the time. And also the character James, he's just like frustrating to watch, if I'm being honest. I don't really care for him as a character. But anyway, guys, like, comment, share, subscribe, do all of that. And, you know, let me know what you thought of this movie if you've seen it. I'll be interested to see what you guys thought, because maybe you agree with me, maybe you don't, but, you know, it's always interesting to see other people's opinions. That's it. See ya.